Directed by John Eric Dowdle, Quarantine is the American remake of the Spanish film Wreck, released just 1 year later. While it closely follows the original's plot, it adapts the story for a US audience and stars Jennifer Carpenter as Angela Vidal, a TV reporter shadowing firefighters during a night shift. Things take a turn when they respond to a call at a Los Angeles apartment building and quickly become trapped inside as a deadly infection spreads. Unlike Wreck, Quarantine strips away the demonic and religious elements, opting for a more scientific explanation tied to a mutated strain of rabies. The camera work stays true to found footage tradition, shaky, chaotic, and immersive. The building becomes a pressure cooker of panic as the infected violently attack in pitch-black stairwells and blood-soaked hallways. Shot for around $12 million, Quarantine grossed over $41 million at the box office. While fans of Wreck often debate which version is superior, Quarantine stands on its own as a competent, brutal, and tightly edited horror film. It may not innovate the genre, but it nails the formula and delivers a tense, claustrophobic ride from start to finish. The Den, 2013. Directed by Zachary Donahue, The Den is a chilling blend of found footage and screen-life horror, long before that subgenre became mainstream. The story centers on Elizabeth, a graduate student researching online chat habits through a platform called The Den, a fictional version of Omegle or Chat Roulette. While exploring random video calls, she accidentally witnesses a brutal murder. But what she thinks is a disturbing hoax turns out to be part of a terrifying web of real-world surveillance and violence. Told entirely through laptop screens, video calls, emails, and browser activity, The Den immerses the viewer in Elizabeth's digital world. The film is fast-paced, unpredictable, and filled with subtle paranoia. As she tries to trace the killer, it becomes clear she's being watched too, and nowhere online is safe. Shot on a modest indie budget, The Den became a hidden gem on streaming services, especially among horror fans looking for modern twists on found footage. Its themes of digital vulnerability, anonymity, and voyeurism hit even harder in today's always connected world. It's unfriended before unfriended, and arguably scarier. Afflicted, 2013. Afflicted, written and directed by Cliff Prowse and Derek Lee, takes the familiar found footage setup and infuses it with supernatural body horror. The film follows two best friends traveling across Europe with a camera in hand, documenting their adventure for a travel vlog. But after one of them has a strange encounter with a woman in Paris, he starts to exhibit bizarre symptoms: extreme strength, sunlight sensitivity, and thirst for blood. What begins as a travel documentary slowly mutates into a vampire origin story unlike any other. Using clever visual effects and first-person camera work, Afflicted puts viewers right inside the physical and emotional transformation. It's equal parts tragic and terrifying. The film was made on a reported $318,000 budget, yet the execution is so clean and cinematic that it feels far more expensive. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival and won several awards on the festival circuit. For fans of found footage who want something more than haunted houses or possessions, Afflicted offers a thrilling and emotionally grounded alternative. The Tunnel, 2011. An Australian mockumentary-style horror film, The Tunnel is directed by Carlo Ledesma and explores a dark mystery beneath the streets of Sydney. It follows a news crew investigating why the government abandoned a plan to use old railway tunnels for water recycling, and why homeless people keep disappearing in the area. The crew enters the tunnel system with cameras, lights, and bravado, but quickly find themselves trapped in a literal and psychological labyrinth. Something is stalking them, and the footage they leave behind tells a story of mounting fear, claustrophobia, and eventually catastrophe. What makes The Tunnel stand out is its production model. The filmmakers used a crowd-funded campaign where supporters could buy individual frames of the film. It was released for free online and also saw limited theatrical and DVD releases. Despite its shoestring budget, the film gained a loyal following for its gritty realism and sharp editing. The Tunnel is a must-watch for anyone who believes low-budget horror can still deliver big scares, especially when it's dark, underground, and filmed like it really happened. Home Movie, 2008. Directed by Christopher Dedham, Home Movie is a deeply unsettling look at the disintegration of a seemingly perfect family living in rural upstate New York. Told entirely through home video footage, the film follows Pastor David Poe and his psychologist wife as they document life with their 10-year-old twins, who slowly begin to exhibit increasingly disturbing behavior. What begins as quirky or creepy child antics escalates into chilling displays of manipulation, violence, and cold detachment. The brilliance of Home Movie lies in its subtlety. There are no big jumps or shaky chase scenes, just quiet dread as the footage becomes darker and the parents' concern turns to desperation. The film plays heavily on themes of parenting, denial, and the fine line between innocence and evil. It's a slow burn that rewards patient viewers with one of the most disturbing portrayals of domestic horror in found footage cinema. While it flew under the radar compared to bigger titles, Home Movie earned praise in niche horror circles for its realism and atmosphere. It's The Omen meets Paranormal Activity, filtered through the lens of everyday family recordings. Butterfly Kisses, 2018. Directed by Eric Christopher Myers, Butterfly Kisses takes a meta approach to found footage by layering stories within stories. The film begins when a struggling filmmaker discovers a box of old DV tapes documenting an urban legend called Peeping Tom, a supernatural figure that appears if you stare down a specific tunnel for an hour without blinking. Once you see him, he gets closer every time you blink, until he's right in front of you. As the new filmmaker investigates the authenticity of the tapes, he becomes obsessed, blurring the line between skepticism and madness. The film combines documentary-style interviews, archival footage, and traditional handheld horror to tell a story about urban legends, obsession, and the ethics of storytelling. Butterfly Kisses didn't make waves at the box office, but it's a favorite among horror purists for its inventiveness and self-awareness. It's not just a scare machine, it's a commentary on found footage itself, and what happens when filmmakers chase truth in a world built on fear. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, 2006. Directed by Scott Glosserman, Behind the Mask flips the script on found footage by turning it into a mockumentary of a slasher villain in training. The film shows a grad student crew documenting Leslie Vernon, a man who claims to be the next great serial killer in a world where Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers are treated as real historical figures. What starts off as hilarious and self-aware quickly takes a sharp turn into genuine horror as Leslie shifts from interview subject to slasher in full form. The film moves from documentary-style handheld to full cinematic horror once the crew realizes they're no longer just observers, they're part of the body count. Though technically not 100% found footage throughout, the hybrid format, smart writing, and brilliant genre deconstruction make Behind the Mask a must-watch for horror fans. It's Scream meets The Office with a third act that earns its scares the hard way. The Blackwell Ghost, 2017. Unlike many found footage films that embrace the supernatural overtly, The Blackwell Ghost takes a more ambiguous and is this real approach. Directed by Turner Clay, the film presents itself as an actual ghost investigation by a filmmaker who wants to debunk paranormal videos. He visits a supposedly haunted house where a woman named Ruth Blackwell allegedly murdered children decades ago, and strange things begin to unfold. The genius of The Blackwell Ghost is how natural it feels. The acting is so subdued, the pacing so believable that many viewers questioned whether it was genuinely a documentary. There are no jump scares every few minutes, just subtle eerie moments that slowly increase in intensity. A faucet turning on by itself, a door creaking open, a shadow moving where it shouldn't be. Released directly to streaming, the film quietly built a massive fanbase and launched multiple sequels. While it lacks the polish of studio-backed horror, its realism makes it one of the most unsettling ghost stories you'll find. The Sacrament, 2013. Directed by Ty West and produced by Eli Roth, The Sacrament is a found-footage film loosely inspired by the Jonestown Massacre. A Vice-style documentary crew travels to a remote religious commune called Eden Parish, where residents seem peaceful, healthy, and content. But beneath the surface, something is very wrong, and the deeper the crew investigates, the more horrifying the truth becomes. The film is structured like a real documentary, complete with interview segments, drone shots, and steady handheld footage. As the cult's charismatic leader, known only as Father, begins to reveal his true nature, the tone shifts from curiosity to absolute terror. What follows is a slow-building descent into mass manipulation, paranoia, and violence. The Sacrament stands out because it doesn't rely on ghosts or demons. It deals in real horror, human psychology, groupthink, and blind faith. With a strong cast, including A.J. Bowen and Gene Jones, it delivers grounded performances and haunting realism. It's one of the few found-footage films that truly unnerves without a single supernatural element. Creep, 2014. Directed by Patrick Bryce and starring Mark Duplass, Creep is a minimalist, deeply unsettling take on found footage that trades ghosts and monsters for something far scarier, an unpredictable human. The film begins with a simple Craigslist ad. A man named Joseph hires a videographer to document his life in a remote cabin, claiming he's dying of a brain tumor and wants to leave something behind for his unborn child. At first, Joseph seems eccentric and harmless, until his behavior begins to shift. He invades personal space, makes bizarre confessions, and tells disturbing stories with a smile. The camera never leaves the protagonist's point of view, trapping the audience in the same emotional spiral of confusion, paranoia, and dread. Made on a $10,000 budget, Creep was released on Netflix and quickly gained a cult following. Its stripped-down approach and Duplass's chilling performance proved that a great horror film doesn't need flashy effects, just an idea that feels uncomfortably real. It spawned a sequel, Creep 2, with a third reportedly in development. VHS, 2012. VHS is a found footage anthology directed by several up-and-coming horror filmmakers, including Adam Wingard, Ty West, and David Bruckner. The framing story follows a group of petty criminals who break into a house to retrieve a mysterious VHS tape, only to find a corpse and a stack of disturbing home videos that each tell a different terrifying tale. The segments range from demonic encounters to haunted Skype calls to alien abductions and murderous cults. What unites them all is the gritty lo-fi aesthetic and chaotic camera work that captures horror in its rawest form. Some standout shorts like Amateur Night and The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger went on to influence entire horror subgenres. VHS became a viral hit in the indie horror circles and launched an entire franchise, including VHS 2, VHS 94, and VHS 99. While not every segment is a home run, the creativity and energy behind the project make it one of the most unique horror anthologies of the last decade. The Bay, 2012. Directed by Barry Levinson, yes, the same Oscar-winning director behind Rain Man, The Bay brings an environmental horror twist to the found footage genre. Set in a small Maryland town during the 4th of July, the film unfolds through a mix of news broadcasts, smartphone videos, Skype calls, and surveillance footage, all documenting the rapid spread of a terrifying outbreak caused by mutated parasites in the water. The result? Infected townspeople begin exhibiting horrific symptoms, boils, hallucinations, bleeding, and in some cases, creatures crawling out of their bodies. The US government quickly tries to cover it up, but the footage lives on as a horrifying cautionary tale. Levinson reportedly based the film on real science about parasitic isopods and toxic waste in water supplies, adding a layer of disturbing realism. Though overlooked upon release, The Bay has since gained recognition for its timely ecological message and inventive storytelling format. It's one of the few found footage films that feels like it could play out in real time on your evening news. Chronicle, 2012. Directed by Josh Trank and written by Max Landis, Chronicle is a rare fusion of superhero origin story and found footage thriller. The film follows 3 high school boys who stumble upon a mysterious glowing object in the woods. Soon after, they develop telekinetic powers, but as their abilities grow, so does the darker side of human nature. The footage is supposedly compiled from smartphones, video diaries, security cameras, and eventually, floating telekinetically controlled cameras. It's a clever workaround that allows the film to retain the intimacy of found footage while incorporating large-scale effects and action scenes. With a budget of $12 million, Chronicle grossed over $126 million worldwide, making it one of the most successful films in the genre. It was praised for its character-driven narrative, especially the descent of one boy into superpowered villainy. It showed that found footage isn't just for horror, it can tell epic stories too. Deadstream, 2022. One of the newest entries in the found footage canon, Deadstream is directed by Joseph Winter and Vanessa Winter, and it combines horror with biting internet satire. The film follows Sean Ruddy, a disgraced YouTuber trying to win back his audience by live streaming an overnight stay in a supposedly haunted house. His goal? Face his fears live on camera and reclaim his sponsorships. Armed with body cams, drones, and GoPros, Sean documents every step of the night, until he accidentally unleashes a demonic spirit. What follows is a chaotic, hilarious, and genuinely scary sequence of supernatural attacks, with Sean desperately trying to survive and keep the stream going. Premiering at SXSW 2022, Deadstream was released by Shudder and instantly became a fan favorite. It's Evil Dead meets Twitch, with manic energy, practical effects, and a lead performance that's equal parts annoying and lovable. For horror fans burned out on influencers, it's a breath of fresh and terrifying air. That wraps up part 2. You've just survived another round of cursed tapes, haunted houses, and viral horrors caught on cam. If you're not sure where to start, it's chaotic, hilarious, and surprisingly terrifying. Basically everything you want in a modern found footage flick. Think we should keep going? There's plenty more where that came from. Drop a comment if you want part 3, and don't forget to hit subscribe before something hits back.